Hello and welcome to Wolfman Gaming. This is my Metro Exodus Sam Story DLC, a Man of Principle trophy walkthrough, and this is episode 8 that I have named The Missing Crew. Because the captain tells you that he had a crew that went missing, as the title says. And we are gonna find them in this episode, or what remains of them. Because that counts towards the A Man of Principle trophy. So you need to find them for that trophy to pop. And I think if there is one karma point people miss on their first playthrough, I know I missed this one, it is this. Because it is a bit out of the way. But before we get there, we need to go into this place. Make sure to crouch in here, because you have these funguses, I think it's called fungi, on the right side that will explode and cover you in spores, which will hurt you if you get too close. You see they start wiggling. But if you move up cautiously towards them, you will be able to pick them and get some chemicals without them exploding. And also down in the water, there are those centipede looking mutants. If you have played through the 2 kernels or watched a playthrough or a walkthrough, I did a walkthrough for It's Just a Scratch on that expansion. But they will spit on you if they notice you. And I think that if you crouch, they don't notice that you go past. And when you get up on this walkway, I think you're totally safe up here. And when we are up here, we're actually gonna turn this valve handle and start up the electricity, which will fry their asses. And anyone who has gone for It's Just a Scratch in the 2 kernels will most likely feel that this is super satisfying to do. Because those mutants were such a fucking pain in the ass in that game. Even if you could heal, even if you're just playing through it, not going for It's Just a Scratch. But since they were in areas that were super irradiated, and they could rupture your gas mask, whenever you have your gas mask equipped, if you take too much damage, it will break the visor on it. And then you're fucked. Doesn't matter how many medkits you have, if your visor breaks, you're still dead. But now that the power is turned back on, all the centipedes are dead, we can head back to our boat and we're gonna go searching for the crew. And once again, I have trimmed out all the boat driving. Not a big fan of the boat mechanics. And you see, you need to make a left turn as soon as you get out of the building. And we're gonna go in by these little islands. And you will see a flag where you can anchor your boat, and also see some little boat wrecks. And this is recorded during daytime in the game. This place is just super dark, super foggy. And there are 3 tape recorders that you can find here. And I think you need to find all 3 of them and activate them for it to count towards A Man of Principle. Because there are a lot of corpses, it turns out that the poor crew were chased by bandits here to their death. And it can be a little bit hard to figure out which of these corpses belong to the captain's crew and which ones that are bandits. So I recommend loot through all of them. Whenever Sam comes across a crew corpse, or whatchamacallit, he will say something. That this is the first guy and here's the second guy, I better find the last one. So make sure to go through all the bodies until you hear him talk. And also I think playing all 3 tape recordings count towards it. But I'm not 100% sure. It is a bit finicky, this part. I'm not a big fan of this little side area. Much to do also with the fact that this place is foggy, it's dark, and just a pain to go through. But there are some nice upgrades here. So that is the first
Ed,
one.
I found your comrades' tracks in the swamp. They were attacked by bandits connected to Klim.
Yes, I think that was the first crew member. They have those striped
I'll
shirts
try
on.
to, Ed. Sam out.
So that is 1 down and 2 more to go. So we're gonna head further on in this place. And in this place there are also some prawns. And I think this is one of the few instances where it can be hard to run past them. And I think also there are centipedes here. Yes, because one of them just tried to spit on me. That is just nasty. But the good thing about this place is that you only have to walk on one way, because we will be using a shortcut to get back to our boat after we are done. And I talked in one of my latest videos that I've been playing Saints Row the 3rd Remastered. And I've talked about the fact that I feel that this is the regeneration of video games. There's a lot of remasters and remakes and reboots. And also a lot of retro. There's been an upswing in retro games over the last 2 years. It started with the NES Mini, which got followed by the SNES Mini, which are both, in my opinion, great consoles. Nintendo really knew what they were doing when they released those, because there were basically only good titles on them. And PlayStation tried, and in my opinion failed miserably when it came to their little PlayStation Classic. There were some great games on it, but given that they put in, was it 20 titles? And among them were, of course, Final Fantasy VII. And they knew what they were doing when they put in Final Fantasy VII. They could have sold the console just on the fact that that game was included. But some of the other games, though, like Jumping Flash and shit like that, and they put in some other great games, but it was filled with missed opportunities. Like, why not Castlevania Symphony of the Night? It's considered one of the best Castlevania games of all time. And if it isn't, it fucking should be.
Edward, I lost everyone.
But hopefully, I'm hoping that they have not been totally deterred. By the way, that was the last crew member, and you get the white flash that we have unlocked another karma point, and we are one step closer to a man of principle. But going back to what I was talking about with the retro consoles, I hope that they will do a PlayStation 2 Mini or PlayStation 2 Classic and just fill it with great games, because there are so many to choose from. And if I could choose just one game to put in the PlayStation 2 Classic, it would be one of my all-time favorite games for the PlayStation 2, which is Legacy of Kain Defiance. That is also a game I've talked about before on my channel, that I think that is one of the absolute best PlayStation 2 games ever released, and I would really like to get that in a classic version. I still have my PlayStation 2, more or less for that sole reason. Just so I can plug it in and play that game if I want to. And also, I would love to know, dear viewer, let's say they were to release a PlayStation 2. What game would you wish that they put in that console? It would be really fun to hear your thoughts and your input, because you sit watching my videos, which I'm super happy that you do, and that you seem to find them what's the word? Entertaining was the word I was looking for. Entertaining and hopefully helpful as well. And I would love to get your feedback. What game would you want in a PlayStation 2 Classic? Or are there games that you think should have been included in PlayStation Classic or PlayStation 1 Classic, whatever you want to call it, that weren't there? what do you think of the lineup of games in that console? And most importantly, are there any other consoles you would like to get a mini version of? Because I think there are quite a few of them. I know a lot of people would probably be very happy if they did a Dreamcast classic. I think it's quite sad that the Dreamcast was more or less a failure, and it led to Sega having to give up consoles, because Sega has done some good consoles through the years. I never played a lot of Sega because I was a Nintendo kid, and I've told you about the fact that I played Sega over at a friend's house, but I've never owned one myself. I do have, I think it's like 2 Mega Drive collections on PlayStation 3 and PlayStation Vita or something like that. But I was more of a Nintendo kid. But please, let me know in the comments what you think about the retro consoles that are out, or if there are any you hope for. But now it's time to wrap up this video and my ranting, because the episode is over. But I want to thank you very much for watching, and I will see you again in my next video. So until next time, this is the Wolfman signing off.